think the media is in love with a certain vision that they have around autism. It involves a human being being locked in a body who has all of this stuff inside of them that just can't get out.
Autism doesn't have a face. You can't see it. It doesn't just come out.
He didn't roll over. He didn't look at us. And he seemed to have not met a single milestone. By the time he was 6 months old, I had no idea what was wrong, but I knew something was.
She would babble a lot, just make noises, but beyond that, it wasn't really, communication.
The hard thing about having a child that struggles is you don't know why.
We never knew what was wrong. He wouldn't talk, he couldn't tell us.
There was something that wasn't adding up.
And I felt so helpless that I knew that I had to reach out for more help, because this wasn't my kid. Like, he was starting to shut down in ways that I didn't understand, and I just couldn't reach out to him.
There is absolutely no aspect about our community that won't be touched by this in one way or another. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter where you work, doesn't matter where you go. You will meet somebody with autism, whether you know it or not.
Well, I do have an excellent knowledge with autism. I have the skills of an autism advocacy. Unfortunately, there are some things that I do enjoy or don't enjoy. Sometimes there are things that most people enjoy, but I don't. Well, not only that I'm an artist and enjoy movies, but my memory works well with most films. I can remember every scene or every song from every film that I've seen. My senses are not the same as other people. When my teeth are being cleaned, it does not tickle. It feels very uncomfortable.
In 2020, the CDC reported that the overall prevalence rate is 1 in 54, but for boys, it is 1 in 33. When people hear that, it's like, wow. If you think of a typical elementary school or a typical third grade in an elementary school, you're guaranteed to have individuals with autism, particularly with the boys. So boys have a 4 times greater rate of being a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder.
I first started having concerns about my son when he was about 2 years old.
Well, I think you have to understand autism is a family diagnosis and a family problem.
It didn't matter if I cooked a million different things. My son had just made it up in his mind that he wasn't going to eat.
I remember my daughter and I used to put him in a blanket and then swing it back and forth to get him to go to sleep.
And trying to relay, as I have learned, that information to family and friends is really difficult because they don't see it. They don't see the 4 hours in the middle of the night of screaming tantrums where there's nothing you can do and your son doesn't want to be touched or your child doesn't want to be touched, and they're in a corner and you're in the opposite corner and you're both crying because there's nothing you can do to make them feel better. They don't see the 12 days on a row where they won't eat a solid thing.
To treat the child in a vacuum is just not appropriate. You're treating a family, and these families are stressed. They are having problems with the child, and they realize the development is not what they expected, and it causes a lot of anxiousness, it causes a lot of despair, and you have to support the family.
My son is nonverbal. The autism significantly affects his ability to be independent. He has to have 24/7 care.
Sometimes I not really crazy about being in enclosed spaces or being touched by people. Sometimes I get really get a bit overwhelmed when people present me with a lot of information too quickly. Just be patient with me.
My brother has autism and I think it's pretty hard for him. I like to play Legos and that helps him know how to build stuff. I read to him and I tell him what the letters are and how to write the letters. I think he's a pretty cool brother.
I love the autism myths. They're cold children who, their mothers didn't love them and they don't have empathy. She's the most empathetic person I know. She gets so upset when she sees injustice in the world. So that's nice to know that she is feeling those feelings that everyone else does.
My sons are extremely loyal. They are extremely honest. They didn't, I don't think I ever heard a lie from them through their adulthood.
I'm not a huge fan of summer, especially when the temperature is very high. If there's one thing I had never enjoyed is when it's very bright outside, the sky is very clear. I don't enjoy that, because if it's bright, people wear shades, and if they wear shades, you can't see their beautiful eyes.
I was telling my son, who has autism, and he always kind of is a big supporter of mine, and I said, Spence, I'm going to do this interview, and I'm really nervous. I go, have any words of advice for me? And he goes, just remember, Mom, it's always about love. It always comes back to love. And he's right. That is what it's about.